Hey, hey, all you lovely people out there. You've got a lot going on in your day with big dreams and big goals for your world. Are you ready to talk some shizzle and learn some shizzle from leading entrepreneurs, changemakers, coaches, and overall interesting people who like to shake things up? I'm your host, Taylor Shanklin, CEO and founder of Creative Shizzle, and I am stoked to bring you a fresh episode of Talking Shizzle today. This show is all about helping you think differently so that you can grow. Talking Shizzle is brought to you by our team at Creative Shizzle, where we help businesses, entrepreneurs, and social good innovators make amazing marketing shizzle happen. Check us out on the web at creativeshizzle.com. Now, let's talk some shizzle. All right, friends. We are back with another episode of Talking Shizzle. We are going to be pulling out today some truth bombs on social media from our very own Becky Escher, our social media consultant, strategist extraordinaire. We've got sidekick Will on the line today too to make sure we keep this whole show rolling for you. What is up, Becky and Will?
Hello. It's good to be here with you guys. Good to see you. Doing good.
What's up, everyone?
What's up, everyone? Love it. It's good to have you guys here. This is fun. This is our first official, team-only Talking Shizzle. So, Becky, let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, why you love social media, and why you care to talk about truth bombs on social media today.
Well, my name is Becky Escher, and I have been self-employed doing entrepreneurial things for about 5 years. And, my background's in graphic design, and that kind of led me somehow into the social media realm. I was working with a nonprofit organization in Dallas, and they really didn't know how to market to younger audiences. And at the time, 2015, that's really where the height of millennials were. And I was a millennial. And so I was like, hey, my people are here. And for whatever reason, I have just stayed in social media and kind of tried to adapt and learn and keep up with all the changes. And it's been fun. It's cool to have a design background too, because I can kind of see what people respond to. And that kind of informs a little bit of the strategy that goes into helping nonprofits and small businesses be their most successful selves on social.
I'm glad you love it. I've got a real love-hate relationship with social media these days. I know we've talked about that, and sometimes I go off on rants and all team calls, but we won't talk too much about that today. Becky's amazing at social, and she knows a lot about how to really take engagement to the next level. That's one of the things that I've noticed and love about working with you is how good you are at that. So I want to break down some myths today and get into some nitty gritty, because social media is this big, vast ocean, and it's scary for a lot of people, and it's scary for a lot of the clients that we work with. First thing I want to talk about is the difference between promotion and connection. So what is the difference? A lot of times people think, well, I don't want to just be that self-promote-y all the time, and I want to connect with people. What's the difference between the two? How do you balance the two? Because I'm guessing you're going to say you need to do both, but tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's important to do both. And a lot of kind of misconceptions that businesses and nonprofits especially have is that you should always be promoting. That is true, but there are different ways to go about that in a way that is not just pitching your product or pitching your service to people. A lot of times people are on social media to escape that. They want to be inspired. They want to connect with people. That's kind of the whole core purpose of social media, is to provide this network that allows people to get together and to share ideas and things like that. Connection and promotion go hand in hand. I was kind of looking through some of my favorite accounts before we got on the call. There's a nonprofit radio station here in Dallas-Fort Worth called KXT, and it's an NPR affiliate. And I love it. It's one of my favorite stations. They play indie music. their social media is done really well. And because they rely on a lot of, donor support to keep the station going, they do have to promote things like that on their social channels, but they also have this really cool way of engaging the community. So highlighting new artists, asking people, hey, what are you listening to today? Hey, here's our top 5, new artists you need to be listening to. They're connecting with their audience because they know their audience is on their accounts to connect with music, to connect with local music, and they support the mission overall that KXT provides. But they have their spring, donor campaign every year, and that allows them that opportunity to really petition people for that donation call, that call to be engaged and involved on a financial level. They've been around, I don't even know how long, at least 10 years. So there's got to be some sort of success to that. Even though they do have, the NPR affiliation, they do rely on local support. So there's something to be said for making connections with the people who believe in your mission.
What do you think works in terms of getting people to connect? So like getting into the day-to-day of like actually getting people to comment, to share, to truly engage with your content. Like, is there a secret sauce that you found?
That's the big question. That's something every brand is trying to uncover every day. And it's a really good question. There's some simple things brands can do, like asking questions or encouraging people to comment on posts. I think one of the best ways to invoke engagement is to vary your content. And what I mean by that is rather than relying on the same messaging, the same visual graphics, the same cadence, change things up a little bit. So if you're on Instagram and you post a quote every Monday and it looks the exact same and you're not getting any engagement on it, maybe there's a different way you can share that content and get the engagement you're wanting from that by either sharing it in a story or tying it into a poll to actually get people to want to participate and engage with that, that quote or whatever it is. The other thing, we've been talking about this with a few other clients, is finding your brand heroes and your brand advocates. Once you find those and you're able to kind of leverage those connections, that will help you foster engagement from their communities and their audiences. So that's kind of a really natural way to build engagement and show them, hey, we've got cool content, we have a cool mission. Why don't you join us and participate with our conversation online?
So I like that takeaway from that. And I think the big highlight for people is, I hear this a lot from our clients, like, well, I've got to do lead gen on social. So like, it's all about promotion all the time. It's like, no, back up. You got to connect with people as well, because that's what they're there for. So it's about mixing up the content, doing things different, trying on not always just all doing self-promotion, but actually like asking questions, pulling them into the story.
Exactly.
So, that was truth bomb number 1, demystified, I suppose. Will's going to go fact check us on all of this stuff on Wikipedia today, aren't you, Will?
For sure. I'm learning about KXT now. Seems like a pretty cool radio station.
Blogs right now, like making sure that we're making sense, Okay, I want to get into the truth next, number 2, about the difference between paid and organic. So like we throw out these words all the time. We know what it means, but maybe when we're talking about it to other people or to our clients, they don't necessarily know what it means. Let's talk about the difference between paid and organic. How do you figure out how much to put into each, like in terms of just your time investment, all of that stuff, your dollars, what goes into paid, what goes into organic? Demystify this one for us, Becky.
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're right. There are so many people who don't even know that there's a difference. So a quick overview, organic social is just that. It is social content that you share organically. It is something that comes from you directly. It is a post that naturally, again, organic, natural, it naturally gets shared out to your audience and your feed. The difference between that and paid is that organic does not cost you any money. It is just a post that you're putting out into the world. Paid is kind of where you get into social advertising. So you can put, on Facebook and Instagram, you can boost a post. You can put $50 towards a post to hopefully get it in front of more people. That's kind of a tactic people will use to get more followers, more engagement on posts, on their pages, and kind of can broaden their audience in a faster way. The other way you can utilize paid advertising is a lot of what we see when we scroll through our Facebook and our LinkedIn feeds every day, and that's selling products. It's a great tool for nonprofits, especially to get themselves in front of new audiences and new prospects. I've been working on a lead gen campaign for a nonprofit in Dallas. And because they already had an established following from their organic content, their paid advertising did really well. In paid, you can do things like targeting people that you want your ads to get in front of. So location, certain age ranges, different interests. So that's kind of helps you qualify your leads. And qualifying means, I want someone to buy this, this plant. Maybe you want to find people who are plant enthusiasts. And that's kind of a nice way to niche you into your right audience. There's a lot of benefits to paid, but it's not necessarily a step a lot of newer accounts need to be taking. It's good to, as an account, by a nonprofit social media account, build your organic content out so that people have something to see and something to revisit once you start running paid campaigns. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely it does. And we've definitely had organizations come to us and say, whether it's some kind of a startup organization, nonprofit or for-profit, I say the same thing, if you don't have any content yet, we've got to get some content there and a consistent, regular drumbeat. That way, when people do start visiting from a paid ad, you look legitimate. It looks like you've already got a reason to engage. So I think that's really, really important. Taking that a little bit of a step further, how do you usually help people determine what a paid budget should be? I mean, that's relative. It can be all over the place, but do you have kind of a general rule of thumb you like to coach people through?
I like to really be mindful of what people can actually afford to do, depending on the client and depending on the scope of people they're trying to reach and the leads they're trying to generate. That will inform a lot of the budget. It's kind of hard to do a one-size-fits-all recommendation. I will say if you want to run multiple campaigns and run different tests, you need to really consider your budget limitations. There are tools. Social Media Examiner is a great resource. They have a really great YouTube video that kind of breaks down how to determine a budget for, a long-term marketing campaign. There's different budget considerations for different goals. If I have a client who has a little bit of ad spend for the month and something we really want to do is generate more followers on their account, I'll just throw in a $50 boost and I'll select a geographic location. I'll run that for 5 days. And the return on that is usually pretty impactful if the content is good. And, I pride myself on doing pretty good content. So normally we have pretty successful results. But if I'm running, say, a month-long campaign to sell a product, that budget's going to be significantly larger. And it's something that you really have to monitor pretty regularly. And by that, I mean daily. If I'm running an ad campaign, I'm in the back of Meta every single day, seeing how things are performing, seeing if I need to reallocate budgets to different creative. It can be very nitty-gritty. That is a lot of the time why people hire outside agencies to manage that, because it's very time consuming, especially if that's not your bread and butter. If you're an admin assistant for a nonprofit organization or a small business, you probably have 1,000 other things you need to be worrying about than how an ad is performing on social.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. And we'll put Social Media Examiner at socialmediaexaminer.com. We'll put that in the show notes. I agree. They've got a lot of good resources on that site. That's the site you were referring to, right?
Yes. Yeah, I really like their content.
All right. Let's demystify this next one. Number 3. So we got into so far promotion versus connection, paid versus organic. Now I want to ask you a common question, but one that everyone still struggles with. Do I need to be on all social media platforms?
Oh, wow. That's such a good question. My short answer is no, absolutely not. First of all, there are so many social media platforms out in the world outside of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn that it's probably impossible to even be involved with all of them. But if we're talking about those top social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, you really need to think, okay, where is my audience? Is it business to business? Is it business to consumer? What's the age demographic of my audience? Is it people over the age of 40? Is it people under the age of 20? And then understanding what types of people are on those different platforms. I've found with a lot of clients in particular, for whatever reason, everyone is on Twitter. They all have professional accounts on Twitter, and I have no shade to Twitter whatsoever. But it's interesting to me how many people have Twitter accounts, professional Twitter accounts, that don't use them and don't have the capacity to maintain the Twitter account. Is Taylor one of those people?
Yours truly, I'm raising my hand. Yours truly included. Like, I don't know, I made it a long time ago. I have some followers, but I can't keep. Twitter is so fast moving. Like, I've just never been able to keep up with it, you know?
And that's exactly why people, in my opinion, a lot of people and a lot of businesses don't need to worry about being on it. Unless you have someone who is on Twitter all day long and who can engage with people all day long, no.
Like, I have real work to do. Like, that's been my issue with Twitter the whole time. I'm like, I actually have real work to do, so I can't be on Twitter all day. But, like, you have to be on Twitter all day in order to get good at Twitter. So I just,
Yeah. It's for people who are very passionate about tweeting, I guess.
Yeah.
I've had some clients where it made sense, but a lot of them, it doesn't make sense.
I have never been good at Twitter. And I understand what you are saying completely. The more you're on there, the more you stay on there. But nope, not for me.
Yeah, there's too much going on Twitter anyway. It's like, what? Every type of thing.
I've never been able to keep up, though. There's probably some good dad joke channels on there, Will.
Oh,
this is true. This is true. I'll have to look for them.
Just look through the hashtag dad joke. See what you come up with.
All right. So I like that. You don't have to be on all the social media platforms. Find the ones that matter for your audience. That takes us into the next thing that we wanted to talk about, I think, really well. I was asking you offline before this about different creative for different platforms and why it matters. So I think that's a good segue from that last thing that you said about, like, think about your target audience. So tell us a little bit about how you then take it to the next level and focus on, well, what kind of content goes on what kind of platform?
First of all, there's the basis that there are different specifications for different creative, meaning on Facebook, to post a picture, maybe it needs to be 1,000 by 1,000 pixels, but on Twitter, it's different. So that's one way of explaining, your content size-wise needs to be different. But it's also considering how people are going to be viewing your content. If you're posting a video vertically, that's going to be good for a story or good for TikTok, but maybe it's not the best for Instagram and Facebook. But it all comes down to audience and what your goals are. Posting an article talking about current events, that might land on something like LinkedIn or Facebook, maybe not so much on TikTok or on Instagram, depending on what that topic is. Having different visuals makes a lot of sense. You don't necessarily need to post the same exact thing on every single channel that you have. Providing different value for your different audiences. That's essentially the basis of content variation. I will say this, most of the platforms respond really well to video. That is the big thing people are pushing right now, because a lot of people are engaging with the video forward platforms like YouTube and TikTok. So Instagram and Facebook, for example, have really been serving video more and promoting those types of posts more than static posts. So that's something to keep in mind is, if you're able to keep track of the trends and how the social media platforms are evolving, that can ultimately benefit your return on content investment, so to speak.
Awesome. Excellent. And make sure you've got plenty of cats doing all sorts of things all the time, whether it's puking or meowing or, dancing on TikTok.
Exactly. I have a TikTok account just for my cats. So, cats rule the world as far as I'm concerned.
They definitely rule the internet.
Yeah,
they do.
So true.
We've been reading this awesome book for our son called Stack the Cats. It's pretty hilarious.
That's
Stack
awesome.
the Cats.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. I would check it out. It's like a board book. It's super tiny, but it has a little bit of addition in it. It talks about stacking cats. It's pretty hilarious.
All right, I want to get into the last segment of this. Let's talk about, I'm going to call it the Big Bomb Reel. 2 major questions. First one, are you ready for it? Why am I not going viral?
Man, why are you not going viral? It's a great question.
I mean, me personally. No.
Well, Taylor, I've seen your content. No. And it's actually really good. So, first of all, it helps to know what going viral means. And in summary, going viral basically means that your content gets shared multiple times by other users, and it just amasses views and engagement because people have found your content. One example I love is right in the middle of the pandemic, there was the TikTok account of the guy on the skateboard with his ocean spray grape juice. And that went viral. It was on the TikTok ads on TV for a while. And I was thinking gosh, why did this go viral? And it really comes down to uniqueness of content and being current with the times. I think people seeing this video in such a stressful, dark, withdrawn period of time kind of inspired a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of freedom, and gave them a little bit of hope and something fun to just, dissociate with. I think a lot of times people try too hard to go viral and therefore they don't go viral. So if that's kind of your ultimate goal, I would consider, why do you want to go viral? And I would consider, how unique is my content and how different is it from everybody else's content out there? What will make people want to share my content and make it blow up in this way? For me personally, going viral doesn't mean people are sharing my content. It means I'm getting good likes on Instagram. My personal brand, I don't really have time to manage it because I'm doing so many other people's accounts. But I shared a post last week and I got 50 likes on it. To me, I'm like, well, hot dang, I'm famous, So it's also just measuring what that looks like for you and your brand.
Yeah, it's relative. And viral is totally unpredictable. That's the thing about it. That's why it's people, why can't it go viral? Well, that guy on his ocean spray adventures was not predicting he was going to go viral. Becky, I made a video one time of trying to ride my one wheel in my apartment and falling off of it a lot. It did not go viral at all.
That's disappointing.
It was negative viral. Yeah.
Can we add that in the show notes too?
It should. I mean, I made music to it. It was kind of funny. I was just being a dumbass, didn't go viral. I guess I needed juice.
That's all you were missing.
I was just missing my juice. I needed to be drinking juice. Second of the 2 big bomb reels, debunking hashtag. What is in a hashtag? What is a hashtag?
Hashtags are the bane of my existence. So a hashtag is essentially a way to connect with people. And what I mean by that is if you put something like hashtag Texas in an Instagram post, anyone who is searching the word Texas and Instagram has the opportunity to see your post because it connects that topic with your content. So there's a reason why people will often flood their posts with different hashtags, is to capture these different search terms, essentially, and different people looking for that content. I have been of the school of thought for a very long time that you only really need to use hashtags on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. My mind has been changing to include that more in Facebook. And that's because Facebook has actually been using and allowing people to use hashtags in the way they had been used and promoted on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. In the past, when you put a hashtag on Facebook, it literally did nothing. There weren't hot links that could help you connect with those topics. It just looked junky. That's really why hashtags are the bane of my existence, because in my opinion, they look very junky. One tip, if you're using Instagram, is if you can put your hashtags as your first comment in your post, it alleviates the junkiness of all of the copy. But yeah, that is a hashtag in a tiny little package. They are super helpful. They're pretty essential, but they are the bane of any social media manager's existence, in my opinion.
Well, they help your content get found because it's basically like, I think of it like it's search terms kind of for social media for your content. But yeah, Instagram's kind of funny. When Instagram first came out and I first got on it, I did not understand. It's one that requires a lot of hashtags, more so than other platforms. And it's like, I would see my friends posting stuff with like 35 hashtags on it. I'm like, what is this?
Well, and if you see people posting that many hashtags and you notice that they have a really low number of likes or comments, that should tell you that they're probably not using the right hashtags for their goal. So that's kind of a learning lesson as you observe things on social. You can kind of tell what actually works.
Yeah. And we've got some favorite hashtag like research tools that we like that are free to use. We'll put those in the show notes. So Fleetwood Mac song. Will's IMing us something. Sidekick Will. What's this about a Fleetwood Mac song?
From the grape.
That's the song in the video from the Juice
in the Ocean Spray video?
The Ocean Spray video.
I'm going to send you mine.
Talks about freedom, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, here you go again. You say you want your freedom. And
you're just chugging some juice.
I think you had a good point about the timing of that video and why it went viral. You know, it's a good point. All right, Becky, let's close it out. I've got one last question for you. We always ask some people some fun questions at the end. What's been one of your favorite jobs you've ever had that's not social media consulting?
One of my favorite jobs, I've had quite a few jobs. I worked for JCPenney's marketing department, kind of freshly out of college. And I loved that job for so many reasons. I loved all the people I worked with. I got to touch a variety of projects and I learned so many different things, from graphic design to some initial social media business tactics to managing print deadlines and working with designers and copywriters. It was really one of my first times to see how a large scale organization utilizes teams and multiple talents to be successful. I really valued that experience. In tandem with that, I was a workaholic in my early 20s, and I had a part-time job during that time at the mall working at Paper Source because I'm a paper craft junkie, and I loved that job. I love working with people. I love retail. But yeah, I wasn't there for very long, but I absolutely loved that job. That's my short answer, but I've been doing this for, like I said, about 5 years, and it's been the best in terms of like work-life balance and figuring out what I can actually manage without having someone dictate it to me. So it's been kind of neat.
Now I know. Send you fun paper.
Oh, yes.
Noted.
I love paper.
I didn't know that about you. Okay, good to know. Good to know. All right. Well, I think this has been good. I think we've demystified a lot of things about social media today. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Sidekick Will. If people want to get in touch, find you online, find you on the interwebs, and stalk you on Twitter, what's the best way to find you?
My Instagram is at Becky Escher, and my last name is Escher. Don't follow me on Twitter. That's my dumping ground for just garbage. But yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram. And if you want to follow my cats on TikTok, we are at Porch Kitty and Friends.
Well, thank you, Becky, so much. This has been another episode of Talking Shizzle, where we talk some shizzle today about social media. We hope you enjoyed the show, learned some nuggets, and had a few takeaways about how to make your social media more effective for your business or nonprofit. We'll see you next time. Well, hey there. That was fun. I love how much mind-blowing and mind-opening shizzle our guests bring to us with every episode. We hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player so that you don't miss a beat of the Talking Shizzle podcast. And if you're listening on Apple, be sure to let us know what you thought and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from our listeners so that we can bring you all the good, juicy business growth shizzle that you would like to hear about. Get in touch with us and follow along at creativeshizzle.com or email us at podcast@creativeshizzle.com. Until next time, keep making your shizzle happen.